There's a few people that are new here. They might wonder why I greet this way. It means that with thought, word, and deed, I salute the divinity within you. Okay. Good. Now let me hear some of your most profound philosophical, metaphysical, psychological questions.
What is mysticism?
What is...
Another one. Mystics have spoken to us through the ages in terms of paradox. Is it possible that we are beginning to see a meeting ground between science and religion?
Is that chapter 1? What about chapter 2? Science and religion does find a meeting point, but the approach they take is a wrong approach. One tries to measure the scientist, while the mystic or the religionist tries to experience. Now, science has not been successful in measuring speed, for example. If there's a particle moving from one end to the other, they would not get its proper velocity, because as soon as they go through to that particular particle, it has moved somewhere away. While in mysticism, you do not move away. You become still. So here we could say that science is motion and the study of motion, while mysticism is a study of stillness. And yet, one could combine the two so very well, where you can experience motion as well as stillness. How can this be done? It can only be explained through analogy. You take a top which the children play with, and if it's spun at a very high speed, it will seem to be standing still. So here in that stillness, motion is found, and in the motion, stillness is found. Now we that live on this planet or in this universe are a product of motion. And there will always be motion. And when there is motion, you become involved in emotion. And that is where the problem begins. Because through that motion of the various psychological factors that operate within you, emotions are created. And emotions, be they pleasant or unpleasant, is always conflicting. So as I said the other day, I don't know where, here or somewhere else, that where you have pain, you will experience pleasure. And where you experience pleasure, you will experience pain. Because there is a conflict between the two, the law of polarity, as the scientists would call it, like the two ends of one stick. They say this is the left end and that is the right end. But the mystic, he operates in a totally different way altogether. He goes to the center. Although he is aware, totally aware of both ends of the stick, but his entire focus is in the center. Are you feeling well, Charlene? Come sit here. Don't be shy. I'm your father. Come. Don't be shy. Good. So, yeah, come. Let me put that away. That's it. Sit there by me. That's better. I saw some tears in your eyes, therefore. Good. So scientists look at polarities and they miss the center. In other words, scientists would look at things peripherally, while the mystic looks at the center. Now, if you take the analogy of a cartwheel, the axle is standing still all the time. It's only the wheel that is turning. And if the axle, the center, was not there, there would be no way for the wheel to turn. But now to make up this wheel, you need the spokes and you need the rim. So that is how the center can be combined with the periphery, where you are aware not only of the periphery, but also of the center. That is the secret of life, and that is where your unfoldment occurs. Now, is the center aware of the periphery or the movement of the wheel? It is aware of it. It is aware of it because the wheel revolves around the center. So the center must have a certain force and energy that would be there. The trouble with people and all the emotional problems while they go through all the emotions in life is that the wheels are buckled. Is that the word you use when the wheel is not straight? Buckled? Buckled, yes. For example, the bicycle has an accident and the wheel is not totally round. It's called buckled. That's English. Canadians speak a different kind of English. Warped, another word. Yeah. Square wheel. Very good, very good. I could give you a discourse on a square wheel. Right. Now the trouble with human beings is this, that the wheel is warped. So the cart does not run smooth. What makes it warped is that the spokes are not well balanced. It might have had a knock and it has bent, giving less pressure to those spokes that are warped than the others that are straight. So we human beings are warped people. Yes. Now, of course, analysis alone is not good enough. What to do about it? And as you all know, I've done over 3,000 talks around the world. And as you know, those of you that have attended previous satsangs, that all theory must be brought down to its practical level. Otherwise, all the philosophies and metaphysics and psychologies and humanities and what have you are of no use. What do we do when our wheel is warped? Where does the wheel reside? The wheel resides in the head. That is why everyone's head is always whirling around. Even if they're total teetotalists, the heads are whirling. Right. So, Science is of the head, but the axle is of the heart. So join that axle to the wheel of the mind, and you bring a balance. And then the mind can work at a far greater speed, with far greater efficiency. And as you would know perhaps, that a human being uses only 1/1,000,000th of the 12 billion cells that are in this brain box. This brain is not the mind. It is only a vehicle for the mind. It's an organ. As other organs, hands, feet, etc., etc. They are organs. So if these 12 billion cells minus 1,000,000 is lying dormant, how much of the mind can penetrate through? Because that mind is a universal mind. And because of our lack of development of the brain, our lack of bringing the universal mind to the conscious level, the mind is warped. And the external signs of the mind being warped is our daily action, our feelings, our emotions, how we act and how we react to people, relationships, circumstances. Can anyone here say that for 24 hours of the day, the mind has been filled with totally positive thoughts? No one can. The minds are not. Because as soon as you think of a positive thought, a negative thought arises. A negative thought arises. Today I'm so hopeful that my business will take in £1,000, $1,000, because I needed to take it to the bank tomorrow morning. But at the same time, when you think that you're going to take that $1,000 in your business today to bank it, because or else the bank manager, he knows what to do to you. He'll use his foot on the right side of your anatomy. Talking about the right side of the anatomy, do you know where most Indians sit on? I've always been asked why I sit this way. It is very relaxing, try it. It's a sort of a semi-lotus, and you'll find the weight of the body being equally distributed, and your legs are tired or whatever, you become relaxed. It's an aid to relaxation. So now to come back, do you know where most of the Indians sit on? On their brains. Yes. So we lack balance. We lack the balance between the heart and the brain box, the mind. And through our spiritual practices, as we open up more and more of these billions of brain cells, the more and more of the mind can penetrate through. And when the mind, more and more of the mind penetrates through to our conscious level of life, we develop a greater awareness. Now, this very activation of the brain cells is the job of the mystic, but it can be scientifically combined. Science today, unfortunately, and I work with a lot of scientists, I get called in as a consultant to various physicians and psychiatrists and all kinds of things. And of course, I get called in, especially people with cardiac problems. And these are things I teach. If you want the stillness inside, if you want that peace inside, wishful thinking is not going to bring it about. Right. So, with our spiritual practices, more and more of the brain cells open to allow that universal mind to flow through, so you become more aware. And as you become more aware, the more the heart expands. Do you see? If you become more aware of the circumstances around you, you would understand the position. For example, Auntie Mary, this is a bad word to you. Ordinarily, you would react to it. Oh, that bloody fool said this to me. That kind of reaction you would have. Oh, by the way, the word bloody is a good word. It's a good word. What does it mean again, Vidya? We use it in England. By Mary. So it came down to bloody. Something like that. I forget also. My mind is not fully developed. By Our Lady. That's it. That's it. That's it. He's a teacher of English. Yes. Yeah. So, through spiritual practices, as the mind becomes more and more imbued with that universal force, with the force of the universe, so the heart expands. Now, it works in cycles. As the heart expands more, the more will the mind expand. So awareness of the mind through the mind is so connected to the heart. Right. Now, Auntie Mary said a bad word. Normally you'll mope over it for a whole week. You might have a sleepless night. She said this to me and I got insulted and this, that, and it would go on like that. But if the awareness was there, you would immediately look into the heart and mind of Auntie Mary. You would immediately analyze that, look, she said this word to me. What is behind it? What made her do this or say this to me? Is it my fault or is it her fault? And if it is my fault, why should I worry about it? And if it is her fault, then she is going through some emotional state, some kind of crisis, and I would have the awareness to recognize that, and I would not be concerned about it. I will sleep peacefully, and then I will say, well, if it is her fault, I would say, oh Lord, give it greater strength, forgive her. Right? And if I find it is my fault, then I will say, hey, wait a minute, I took this so seriously, let me do something to better myself. You see how awareness combined with the unfoldment of the heart can make us into better human beings. Yeah. To the newcomers here, if you're a Christian, I want you to become a better Christian. If you're a Muslim, a better Muslim, a Hindu, a better Hindu. But foremost of all, and the right thing, is to become a better human being. But unfortunately, we are just human beings. B-E-A-N-S. Yes. And that is why being beings. Are you smiling now? Good. So what? Okay. And if we should cease to be beings, we will save a lot of water in the bathroom. You got it. Yes. So now, this is what spiritual practices does. It makes us, I beg your pardon, it makes us more aware of our surroundings. We walk through life blindly and without awareness. How many of us would walk through the gardens there and listen to the rustle of the leaves? What a divine symphony. How many of us would walk through the same garden and see the leaves swaying in an eternal dance? How many of us would look at a flower in its true essence? What makes the flower? What brings out the beauty in the flower? It could be red, white, blue, pink, whatever it could be. What brings out the essence of that flower? There's something invisible there. It's not only the ground, it's not only the petals, it's not only the leaves and the colors, but there is a sap, an invisible sap that makes that flower grow, makes that flower bloom and open up into its grandeur and into its beauty. Now that is what the mystic does. He finds the sap, the meaning and the essence of life, while the scientist just looks at the outward form of the flower. But the mystic looks at the outward form and yet also tries to penetrate that flower and find that invisible sap which is unseen by the human eye, but known by the unfoldment of the heart and the awareness of the mind. There's a story from Ramakrishna. And Ramakrishna was talking about a whole group of students that went to a mango orchard. And there the students started getting busy, counting how many leaves there are on the tree and how many branches there are. But there's one student, what he did, he plucked a mango and went to sit in the corner and enjoyed the mango. So the scientists study the leaves and the branches while the mystic enjoys the sweetness of the mango. It is good to have both, especially in this technological age where science is necessary. But science has done more harm to the world than good, that I promise. It's made people lazy. It has left less time for people to dive into their inner self. Let's use an analogy which housewives won't like. Okay. Good. Now, you need a dishwashing machine. Fine. So you get one. Then you need this appliance and that appliance and that appliance and all kinds of appliances. I don't know what appliances are really needed. I only know about eating, enjoying the mango. Right. So now, all these things are bought on the installment plan. So the poor woman, what she has to do is to go to work. She's forced to supplement the husband's income so that they could pay these installments. But in the first place, if one's needs and necessities and without competing with the Joneses, one lived a simple life, that lady would not need to go out to work. She would be more attentive at home. She'd look after the home well. She'd look after the children well. And no one could ever tell me that a nanny could look after your children better than the mother. That is true. So we bring these circumstances upon us. Now, another thing happens. The wife comes home from work. She's very tired. The husband comes home from work. He's very tired. So the one says to the other, darling, I am so tired, I don't feel like cooking. Let's go and eat out. All right. So they go to a restaurant and eat out. So wife and 2 children. And you know what it is. It's easy, 30, 40 bucks, 50 bucks. Fine. And what are you eating? I very seldom go to a restaurant, only when I go on trips. Would I do? Why not? But if you see some of the kitchens, you know, I was giving a course in Spain, in Madrid, and 80 miles from Madrid, there's a place called Segovia, you know, where the Romans built a wall, Segovia. I don't know if any of you have been to Madrid. Right, and the chef, he is the most famous chef in Segovia, in the whole of Spain. And the whole wall of that restaurant was covered with pictures of kings and queens and, you know, all dignitaries. Now, with me, I had a friend that accompanied me to Madrid, Charles Shaw. I don't know if any of you have met him. Vidya knows him. I think you know, Larry, you know him as well. And of course, Chetanji, quite a few of you know him. So he is in the catering business. So after the dinner, the Charles Shaw, being a catering man, he asked the chef, could we see your kitchen? So we were given a tour of the kitchen. And when I came out, go blimey. Well, that happens. Now, that very meal for the husband, wife, and 2 kids that costs 50 bucks, as you call it here, right, could have been done at home for 10 bucks. Yes. And do you think the chefs and what have you put love into the cooking? No, they just work and they wait till closing time so they can go home. Everything is dressed very well, of course. But your wife at home would cook with all her love, so lovingly. And the greatest ingredient in any food is not all the stuff that goes into it, but love. I could never eat any meal that is not prepared with love, because what happens to me that I get stomach aches and I become gaseous. So the main ingredient is love. So now we create an artificial society by the influence of science. We create unnecessary needs and then we work our blocks off to meet the payments. So science has done a lot of harm. Meanwhile, science has done a lot of good as well. Yes. For me to come to Canada from South Africa on the other side of the world, if it was not for the airplanes, it would have taken me months worth of traveling on, on a donkey cart or whatever. Yes, it has done a lot of good. Same thing with religion, and people have forgotten the meaning of religion. Religion means to bind back. What do you bind yourself back to? To that inner self, to divinity. Now, religion too has done more good in the world than anything else and more harm in the world than anything else. If you study the history of religions, you will find that Islam arose with the power of the sword. If they could convert you to become a Muslim, you are definitely promised by the scriptures that you will go to heaven. Right. Let us take Christianity. You remember the Crusades. Rivers of blood have flowed during the time of the Crusaders. Religion. Fine. You take the history of the Hindus. More wars have been fought on religious grounds, and even up to today with religious clashes between the Hindus and Muslims and what have you. So much bloodshed. And yet they teach, love thy neighbor as thyself. But I suppose in brackets, they would add on, love thy neighbor as thyself, if they believe in what you do. They say, do unto others that which you would expect to be done unto yourself. Those are the two greatest statements in the Bible. Don't read the rest of the Bible. Just those two. Love thy neighbor as thyself, and do unto others that you'd expect to be done unto you. And you've captured what religion truly means. And this is not only said in the Bible, but it is said in every religion. And I can quote them to you in Arabic, in Sanskrit, and the works. This. Now we have forgotten that. Love thy neighbor as thyself. But if you don't know yourself, how can you love the neighbor as yourself? Yes. So through spiritual practices and meditation, you start knowing yourself. And I would repeat this 1,000,000 times over and over again, that from the fragmentation that we are going through, we are led into integration. And it is integration that makes you know thyself. And as I said during the week here, that religion doesn't say, know God. Religion says, man, know thyself. And by knowing thyself, you know God. Because we regard divinity to be omnipresent, meaning present everywhere. So he cannot be away from a single cell of your body. He is in this wood, he is in this glass, he is in this light, he is just everywhere. And when one's inner eyes are opened, you will find him to be everywhere. And you just can't help but love and love and love. You see, the expression is of God. As he is indefinable, his expression is also indefinable, because he expresses himself through love, and love is indefinable. I might have said this before. If a boy asks a girl, why do you love me? And she says, because you're handsome and a pretty nose and what have you. It's not love. No. She's forming an ideal of him, of her own mental conception. And then when that fades away in that familiarity and togetherness, and then there's problems, there are troubles. Then where's the love? Say, love is an inner feeling, love is God, love is an inner experience where I can experience my beloved totally within me. What's happening to my watch? Come in here, does it stop? What's your time?
8:36.
8:36? Yeah. So, life should be experienced, more than thought about. We find most of our problems because we think of life. That life should be this way and life should be that way, right? And I must have a certain kind of lounge suite and that will make my life happier. I must have a certain kind of car. I must have this, I must have that, I must have that. And these are all just conceptions of the mind. You can be just as happy sitting comfortably in a chair which you can buy at the auction mart for £10 and have it covered for another 20 instead of going to pay 500 at the shop. What does all this boil down to? This inner satisfaction, inner contentment, and not just to be a show-off to the world. My house is better than the Joneses. My car is better than his. And as we spoke about this morning, it is just ego building which detracts from you, takes away your joy, destroys you, destroys your inner self. While to build your real inner self, you would find that contentment. And to repeat again, it does not come from wishful thinking. It comes from doing something about it. It comes by activating those brain cells and unfolding the heart. And the royal road is through meditation and spiritual practices. And then things become smoother. I was here last year about a year ago, is it? Less than a year ago. And I met many meditators, and I could see on their faces there's a greater calm, there's a greater peace I could notice on their faces. And I thank divinity for it, for making me an instrument to bring his message of love and peace. Many teachers have come that have taught of love and peace. Love thy neighbor, love this, love that, love that. But you got to have the tools, and that is my mission in this life, is not only to teach you love and peace, but also to give you tools on an individual basis that you can use. You might say to your workmen, knock in the nail in that wall, but give him the hammer. So that is what we need. So spiritual masters come from time to time to fulfill man's spiritual needs as they are required. Good. Don't just stretch your brains too much. See, we can find something here. You know, this Englishman went to a Scottish doctor, you know, that Hugh knows, perhaps. And he asked the doctor, what must I do with the liver? So the doctor sells him a pound of onions. Do you know what what is this here? Do you know what a Scot sounds like when he's sober? Nobody knows. I'm really getting here. Wait till I start on the Canadians. Oh, dear me. Let's see if we can find another one here. You know, this Canadian was speaking to this Englishman, and this Englishman was a bit in a temper, and he says, "Show me one thing that's wrong with England." So the Canadian replies, "The one thing wrong with England is that you are above sea level." I don't know if I told you about this one. This other Scot, he was in a hurry to raise 500 pounds, and he needed it badly. So what he did, he went to the bottle store and returned all the empties to get his deposit back. This, I think, is just as difficult to explain Scottish jokes to Canadians. There might be another one or two here. No, that one's no good. Yeah, this one about how to keep Britain tidy, sink Northern Ireland and the IRA. Well, now, we're going to do, traveling with these airplanes and with the pressurized air you have in the planes, it affects my eyes. They're very sensitive. God is one. Fine. The Hindus call him by the name of Ishvara. The Muslims call him by the name of Allah. And Christians call him by the name of Christos, Christ. So would you like to sing this little hymn with me? I've just counted, I've blown my nose 7.5 times. Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Ishvara Allah, Christos Tera Naam. Ishvara Allah, Christos Tera Naam. Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Jaya Jaya. Ram means Lord, and though people call him by different names, he's still the same Lord. Okay then.